Hello, my name's Dr. Tina Ray, and today I want to share with you my Get Grounded plan. I'm noticing that many of my colleagues, particularly who work in education, those who work in education and who work therapeutically with our children and young people, are finding it much more difficult at this current time in terms of actually keeping themselves grounded, maintaining their own well-being so that they can effectively share their calm with those that they're working with, those that they're teaching and nurturing. And I think it's really important that we just take a moment out and stop to ground ourselves on a daily basis. And there are many ways that we can do this, but I think sometimes what's happening, and I know this from my personal experience, but also from talking to many of my friends and colleagues, that this is something that people are finding much harder to maintain at this current time. So hopefully this will just give us a few minutes today to stop and think and reflect on how important this is for us in terms of maintaining our well-being. So my Get Grounded plan is very simple. And I'm going to go through each one of these steps in turn. Okay. So getting grounded, in my view, this needs to be a daily habit. So it's really important that we timetable this in. We need to timetable these moments in throughout the day and make sure that we really do this consistently. It's too easy to slip in or fall into the trap of missing out these opportunities or thinking that we just haven't got time. But we know actually it only takes a few minutes out of our day to do this effectively. Evaluating our mood regularly, giving ourselves that emotional check-in is really important. So just that couple of seconds just to put your hand on your heart and breathe and stop and just think, how am I doing? Am I okay? And giving yourself a message, a positive message, an affirmation. I can do this. I can manage. I can get through this. Okay. So very important for that regulation. Also testing our thinking on a regular basis. How negative is it? Is it more negative currently? Are we falling into that trap of negative automatic thinking, feeling and behaving? We need to challenge and reframe these unrealistic thoughts and do it effectively on a regular basis throughout the day. Very important when we're working with children and young people who may also be experiencing more negative automatic thinking on a daily basis. So just, how realistic is this? Recognizing that our thoughts are not always facts, very important. Also, grounding ourselves using 5 senses. Many people use this particular strategy. Very simple and takes a few moments, a few minutes out of your day. So just stopping and identifying 5 things you can hear, 4 things you can see, 3 that you can touch, 2 that you can smell, maybe 1 thing that you can taste. So again, very simple strategy to ground yourself. And sometimes as well, when we are over anxious or we're getting a bit more wound up, we're getting a bit more stressed, I think it's really important that we can stop and anchor ourselves back. Visualize really good, happy times when things have gone really well, when we've been in a good relationship with a child, or when things have gone well with that child that we're working with now that we're currently finding challenging, or when we've been really happy and we felt supported, we've been with others who really kind of boosted our self-esteem and supported us to feel good about ourselves, or when we've simply been in a situation where we've experienced flow. We've just experienced something because we've been doing it creatively in the moment, and we've had that lovely sense of just being out of ourselves, I call it, being at peace, being happy, lovely, good times. We've experienced them once, we can experience them again. So this is something about giving ourselves hope that these times will and can happen again. So visualizing them, anchoring ourselves back and thinking as we do that about how we felt, how we were at that time and in that place. I also think sometimes it's about giving ourselves some really fresh, positive habits, those new habits that really help. I call them happy habits. So one very simple one, again, just observing 3 good things daily. They don't have to be fantastically wonderful, enormous things, not big successes. They can be tiny things, an interaction with someone, a quick note from someone, just someone doing something a wee bit special or out of the ordinary. But noticing them and reflecting on them can actually alter our mood, I think, at the end of a day. And then understanding as well when we stop, when we pause, we put our hand on our heart, actually, I need a bit of a break here. I need a bit of a rest. So just noticing when my body needs that and saying, I'm going to be kind to myself. I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to give my body that bit of rest that it needs. Take some time out. Noticing and articulating 3 things that you're grateful for, again, each day can ground you at the end of the day. I'm a great believer in journaling and keeping a journal. And I think this is really, really important, that gratitude diary. Just 3 things that I'm really grateful for at the end of each day. And again, these can be very simple. It can be that relationship. It can be your pet who greets you and jumps up at you when you get in from work. It can be just the lovely sunshine outside for those few moments. It can be that walk that you managed to have. It can be something that you're grateful for in terms of relationship that's gone well, for example, but just very, very simple things. And I think as well, deciding to focus on what you can control is really important, and developing that challenging script when you begin to feel anxious or slightly overwhelmed or slightly out of your depth. So just developing that script in your head. I can do this, I can focus on the positive and the next thing that I need to do, and not worry about everything else that's going on. And this is really important because part of our anxiety stems, I think, from this feeling of lacking in autonomy, feeling out of control. So focusing on what we can do in the moment, those small steps, and giving ourselves that positive mantra, developing that script, that challenging motivational script can be really helpful. A couple of minutes, 1 minute to just talk through that script in our heads and ground ourselves once again. I think it's really important that we don't stop exploring different ways to self-soothe and self-regulate, and understand that, one size does not fit all. What works for me may not work for you. What works for one child might not work for another. What we need to do is develop our own self-regulation, self-soothing tools and strategies, and include those in our own personalised wellbeing toolbox. Also, developing our systems to support others. To use grounding techniques is really key at this time. If you're working with children, young people in schools at the moment, or you're working therapeutically with them, you will know this. Really important that you present as the calm, self-regulated adult so that you can share that calm with the children that you're supporting. So teaching children, young people, grounding techniques that you yourself use can be really, really helpful, because it's about co-regulation, sharing them together. Let's just hold those hands. Let's do this breathing together. Let's actually work on this together. Let's visualize our special relaxing place together. So mindfulness, using those regulation tools and strategies together, co-regulation, absolutely essential. But you can only do it if you actually really do this stuff on your own on a daily basis, and you really sincerely practice grounding techniques regularly. So my Get Grounded plan. I hope this is useful and helpful. It's very simple, easy to use, and I'd be really very, very happy if people shared this, just this few minutes on this wee film with your staff team or with the children and young people that you teach. And hopefully this will actually just prompt you and them back into thinking about how you need to ground yourself on a daily basis. So just flagging up before I go, new resources to support regulation and develop wellbeing overall. These are from Hinton House Publishers, written with my wonderful co-author, Ali DeMario, another educational and child psychologist. And many of the strategies I've talked about in this presentation in my Get Grounded plan are in these resources, and obviously made appropriate, differentiated for each of these specific age groups. So hopefully this will help you in developing your toolbox for wellbeing. So thank you very, very much for listening, and I hope that this has been helpful.